The entire courtroom froze the second Karen Davis pressed both hands against her chest and started gasping for air into a brown paper bag. Her breathing sounded loud, forced, desperate. She trembled in her chair like she was moments away from collapsing. To anyone watching, it looked like a woman suffering from a full mental breakdown in the middle of court. But there was one person in that room who didn't react at all. Judge Judy. No panic, no sympathy, no concern. She simply sat there with her arms folded, staring directly at Karen with a completely emotionless face, almost like she had already seen this exact performance before. And honestly, she had. What happened over the next few minutes would become one of the most talked about courtroom moments on the internet. Clips of the hearing exploded across social media, pulling in tens of millions of views and turning Karen Davis into the perfect example of what happens when someone tries to manipulate the legal system in front of the wrong judge, because Karen didn't realize something important. Judge Judy had already figured her out long before the hearing even started, and before Karen even walked into that courtroom. Judge Judy had quietly prepared a trap that was about to destroy Karen's entire act on live television. Now, at first glance, Karen Davis looked like the perfect victim. She was 42 years old, soft-spoken, dressed professionally, and carried herself like someone who had been emotionally destroyed by life. But behind that appearance was a completely different story. Over the previous 3 years, Karen had filed lawsuit after lawsuit against different people. Former landlords, DORS workers, neighbors, businesses, even co-workers. And every single case followed almost the exact same pattern. Karen would accuse someone of causing her emotional distress. She would claim anxiety, trauma, panic disorder, or mental suffering. Then the moment things started going badly for her in court, a sudden medical emergency would appear out of nowhere: chest pain, breathing issues, heart palpitations, panic attacks, and every single time, paramedics would arrive only to discover that nothing was medically wrong. No elevated heart rate, no breathing emergency, no dangerous symptoms. Still, the performances often worked. Judges delayed hearings, opponents became uncomfortable, and sometimes people simply gave up fighting her because the process became exhausting. Karen had learned that acting like a victim could sometimes be more powerful than telling the truth, and unfortunately for a long time, that strategy worked. But Judge Judy wasn't most judges. She had spent nearly 3 decades watching liars, manipulators, scammers, and professional victims try every trick imaginable inside a courtroom. The second she reviewed Karen's history that morning, the pattern became obvious. This wasn't anxiety, this was strategy. And according to court records, Karen's behavior had already caused serious problems in multiple courtrooms before. In one earlier case involving a car repair dispute, Karen suddenly claimed she was suffering severe heart palpitations. Right when the hearing turned against her, paramedics checked her vitals. Everything was normal. But the hearing got delayed anyway. In another courtroom, she claimed respiratory distress during a traffic violation hearing. Again, medical staff found absolutely nothing wrong, but she still received sympathy from the court. Then during another civil case, Karen reportedly called for an ambulance after saying she felt like she was dying from a panic attack. Once again, nothing was medically wrong. To most judges, these incidents looked isolated. But when Judge Judy saw all of them together, she immediately recognized the pattern. And that's when she made a decision that completely changed the outcome of the hearing. Before court started that day, Judge Judy quietly contacted local paramedics nearby, not because Karen was sick, but because she suspected Karen was planning to fake another emergency the second the case started collapsing. And as it turned out, that's exactly what happened. The case itself involved a retired teacher named Robert James, a quiet 67-year-old man who looked completely exhausted sitting inside that courtroom. Robert owned a small rental property that he had leased to Karen for several months. At first, everything seemed normal, but according to Robert, the situation slowly became a disaster. Walls inside the property had been painted without permission, tiles were damaged, flouting was destroyed by pets. The home required thousands of dollars in repairs, and on top of that, Karen allegedly stopped paying rent entirely before finally being evicted. The damages reportedly totaled nearly $5,000. But instead of apologizing, Karen sued Robert. She claimed the eviction emotionally traumatized her. According to Karen, Robert's behavior caused severe anxiety and panic disorder so intense that she needed therapy and emotional treatment. She demanded thousands of dollars in compensation. The only problem? She had no therapy receipts, no medical records, no documentation, nothing. Just emotional claims and dramatic storytelling. Still, Karen walked into court extremely confident. Because in her mind, sympathy had always been enough before. When the hearing officially began, Judge Judy immediately focused on Karen's claims. Karen explained that Robert's eviction process had destroyed her mental health. She claimed she had developed panic disorder because of the stress. She described sleepless nights, fear, anxiety, and emotional suffering. At first, she sounded calm and prepared, like someone who had rehearsed the story many times before. Then Judge Judy asked one simple question. Do you have proof of the therapy sessions you're requesting compensation for? For the first time, Karen hesitated. She quickly claimed she forgot the paperwork. Judge Judy's expression didn't change. Then came another question. What's your therapist's name? Karen paused again. A little too long. Finally, she answered nervously with a name and location. Judge Judy quietly wrote something down. And suddenly Karen didn't look as confident anymore. Then Robert presented his evidence, photos of the destroyed property, repair costs, unpaid rent, damage reports, and as Judge Judy reviewed each image, Karen's entire case slowly started falling apart. The judge turned back toward Karen. So you're claiming emotional distress, while this man is sitting here with thousands of dollars in property damage caused by you. Karen immediately became defensive. She claimed the damage was exaggerated. She blamed stress. She blamed anxiety. She blamed Robert. And that's when Judge Judy asked the question that completely cornered her. You said this landlord caused your panic disorder. So before meeting Mr. James, you never suffered panic attacks in your life? Karen answered immediately. No, never. Big mistake, because seconds later, Judge Judy opened another file sitting on her desk, and everything changed. Interesting, Judge Judy said calmly. Because according to court records, you've had multiple panic attacks in multiple courtrooms over the last several years. Karen's face instantly lost color. Judge Judy then started listing every previous incident one by one: the heart palpitations case, the breathing emergency, the ambulance incident, the repeated claims of anxiety whenever cases started turning against her. The courtroom audience became completely silent. Karen looked stunned. And then panic finally appeared on her face for real. She tried defending herself, claiming the situations were different, claiming Judge Judy misunderstood, but the judge wasn't finished. You seem to have very convenient medical emergencies, Ms. Davis, Judge Judy said coldly, and somehow they always happen the moment accountability shows up. That was the exact moment Karen realized she was losing control. And then, she made the worst decision possible. Suddenly, Karen grabbed her chest. Her breathing became fast and dramatic. She reached into her handbag and pulled out a brown paper bag. I can't breathe, she gasped. I'm having a panic attack. The audience gasped. The bailiff stepped forward nervously. Robert looked completely shocked. Karen shook violently in her chair, breathing loudly into the bag while claiming her heart was racing. But Judge Judy didn't move, not even slightly. She just watched, cold, silent, completely unimpressed. And the longer she stayed silent, more uncomfortable the entire courtroom became, because everyone slowly realized something terrifying. Judge Judy wasn't buying it at all.